Right out of the box, the Steam Deck is an amazing console with pretty remarkable performance. It can play AAA titles like Cyberpunk, an incredibly intensive game, admittedly only at 30 FPS on low settings, but still. No Man's Sky can run at 60 FPS, and GTA 5 averages over 60 FPS without a frame rate cap. All of that is incredible. But what if I told you that there were a few completely free tweaks that you can do to make that even better? Interested? Let's go. First, we will need DeckIt, the excellent plugin loader. Switch to desktop mode, head to their GitHub, and download the .desktop file, sticking it on your desktop. Run the installer and let it install the latest stable version, and then you can switch back to game mode. In the options menu on the right, the three dots button, you'll now see a new plug icon at the bottom of the list. That's DeckIt. From there, you can browse all of the available plugins. There's some really cool ones like Vibrant Deck, a plugin to tweak the deck's color profile, Controller Tools, a plugin to give you a proper controller menu, and loads more. The main one we're interested in though is Power Tools. This lets you tweak a whole lot about the CPU, GPU, and even the battery. If you do a lot of emulation, you might find that disabling SMT, or hyperthreading, might actually give you better performance, especially on the low end. You should find that you get less dips and stutters, which is pretty excellent and great to have that at your fingertips. Some games and emulators might also benefit from parking some of the cores. You can either do that with the slider or in the advanced settings. You can also limit the frequency, even limit the GPU power frequency, and actually even limit the charging current if you want to help extend the lifespan of your battery. Now, most of those tweaks end up being pretty specific to each game, so I'll leave the tweaking on that one to you and what you fancy doing. But one tool that helps almost every game is Cryo Utilities. To install that, you will need to head back to desktop mode, and this time you'll need to open a console and use the password or passwd command to set a root password. Now, this won't affect the game mode, you don't need to use it when you log in, whatever, but it is needed for the tool to be able to execute the commands that it needs as administrator, as root. Once you set a password, you can then head to their GitHub, download the .desktop file, and again run it and let it install. Once it's done, open up the app, click accept, and then enter your new admin password. You can then just click the recommended settings button or reset to stock if you want. All of this is reversible, but I'm going to quickly run you through what each of the settings change so that you know what it's doing and why it's doing it to your deck. The majority of the changes that it makes are about your swap file and memory management. In short, the swap file, or page file if you're in Windows, is the place where your system stores data that it wants to keep in RAM, but it either doesn't have the space to, or just isn't frequently used enough to actually bother keeping in RAM. It gets stored on your main drive, in my case a 1TB SSD, and by default, SteamOS sets it at just 1 GB. Now, bearing in mind that the deck has 16 GB of RAM, 1 GB of swap is pretty damn small. Cryo Utilities checks how much space you have available and then sets it to either how much space you have available minus 1 GB. So if you had 5 GB left on your main drive, the swap file would become 4 GB, or as close to 16 GB as it can. In my case, I have like 700 GB of free space, so I think I can spare 16 gig. Just. The next setting is called swappiness. Wow, you've really got to be careful which syllables you emphasize on that word. Anyway, swappiness is basically the setting that controls how aggressive the system is in pushing data that's stored in RAM to the swap file. SteamOS, for some reason, sets that to a value of 100. That's really high, and it means that it's very aggressive in dumping whatever is in the RAM to the swap file basically as soon as it can. But that's actually a bad thing though, because data stored in swap is much, much slower than if it's kept in RAM. So if something gets dumped to swap and then is immediately called for, say, by a game, It's going to take way longer to get that data than if it was just left in RAM. Cryo sets this to a value of 1, which not only gives you better SSD life since it isn't writing data constantly to the swap file, but it also means lower latency when fetching data, which also means better performance. The next setting is called huge pages, or specifically transparent huge pages. In short, the OS can normally only address 4 kilobytes worth of data at a time, a page, whereas huge pages lets it address up to 1 gigabyte at a time instead. This reduces the overhead when assigning memory to a program, like your game, which lets assets load in much faster, generally meaning less dips in your frame rates when those assets are loaded in. There's an additional setting for shared memory. By default, data that is stored in memory that multiple processes need access to, those are normally excluded from huge pages, but this setting tells the kernel to allow shared memory to use huge pages if it wants to, if it thinks that it's beneficial to. Next on the list is compaction proactiveness. Bit of a weird one, but this is basically like defragmentation, but for your memory. Well, the compaction process, much like defragmentation of an old hard drive, is designed to help speed up access to the data that is in your RAM. The process of rearranging all of that data is slow and can cause massive lag spikes when your game tries to load some data that's currently being shuffled around in memory. Cryo Utilities disables that feature. The same goes for huge page defragmentation. It's basically the same idea for huge pages, and it is left in the same disabled state from Cryo Utilities. And finally, there is page lock unfairness. Again, in short, this basically means that the OS normally lets processes exclusively have access to a page 5 or actually technically 6 times before the operating system forces that process to let go of that page and let other processes use it. This basically means processes can hog data, again causing latency, often seen as stuttering or jitter. Cryo sets this to 1, so a process can hold onto a block twice before the OS moves that block on to the next process that wants it. There is one more tweak that Cryo Utilities recommends, although itself can't set. This requires you to shut down your deck, then holding the volume up button and tapping the power button, boot into the BIOS. Under the settings and then advanced settings, you'll find an entry for UMA frame buffer. By default, this is set to 1G or 1 gigabyte, but Cryo recommends you set it to the maximum of 4 gigabytes. This is basically how much of the 16 gigabytes of RAM you are allocating exclusively to the graphics card. The GPU can use up to half of the RAM, or 8 gigabytes, but the CPU has priority. So if your game needs, say, 10 gigabytes of RAM for your CPU, your GPU now only has 6 gigabytes to play with. In extreme cases, the CPU can take up to 15 gigabytes of that RAM, starving your GPU down to just 1 gigabyte. That's not good. So setting the UMA frame buffer to 4 gigabytes means that your GPU always has at least 4 gigabytes of VRAM to play with. And thanks to the increased swap file size, the CPU doesn't end up starved either. So, does all of that actually work? Well, I ran a couple of games with and without the settings to find out. In GTA 5, with the frame rate limiter removed, in almost all situations, I had better average and maximum frame times, making for a better, smoother gaming experience. Now, I'm still trying to work out how best to capture performance data, so if anyone has any suggestions, please do let me know in the comments, but still from the actual playing experience and the data from the performance overlay, safe to say it's better. In a game with VSync enabled like No Man's Sky, generally speaking, you'll find the game runs at least a little smoother with less random dips, especially as new content loads in, and I also noticed slightly lower power draw too. Only 1 or 2 watts less in the same sorts of actions and environments, but it's quite surprising to see. Interestingly, in Cyberpunk, I can't say that I noticed much of a difference. I'm not measuring things like latency here, so I can't say if that was affected. It certainly wasn't noticeable if it was. And the performance seems to be pretty much identical on either setup. But that brings me nicely onto the final point. As a general rule, none of these settings can hurt performance. They can only improve it. There is something to be said for potentially decreasing the lifespan of your SSD with a larger page file, but when you combine that with the much lower swappiness setting, that mostly negates any danger. Basically, it can't hurt to enable these settings, so you might as well. And for the games where it does make a difference, sweet, free performance. In games, I think, like Cyberpunk, where it doesn't seem to matter all that much, well, no harm done. But that's a look at some of the third-party utilities that can help improve the performance of your Steam Deck. If you have any experience with Cryo utilities, power tools, things like emulation and things like disabling SMT, or any other tools you would suggest, I would love to hear about that in the comments down below. Otherwise, that's kind of it for this video. If you want to see more videos like this one, including more with the Steam Deck coming up, do hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification icon. You can also support the channel through YouTube, Patreon, pick up a hoodie or t-shirt like this one, or a load of other designs I made myself, and there's a load of other affiliate links to places like Overclocked UK if you happen to be buying from there, all in the description. Also, definitely check out the Cryo utilities and power tools, and if you can, go support their GitHub pages and their Patreons and donations and that sort of stuff, because this is really, really cool software, and it's fantastic that it's free and open source. Also, if you want to check out more videos, they're on the end cards. That's pretty much it from me. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.